The first one was just standing there, kind of. It was really weird, like a reflective light almost, kind of, when I moved.
Deep in the wilderness, the cameras don't just record, they witness. A pale face flashes between the pines. Eyes flare like embers, unblinking. Something massive slips through the trees, soundless as smoke, then gone. Each frame feels wrong, like the forest itself is alive and watching. Are these the campfire legends come to life? Or something older, hungrier, waiting in the dark? Stay close. Ahead, we confront the shadowed dogman, towering Bigfoot encounters, savage bear ambushes, and terrors no one can explain. The woods don't always welcome you back. Sometimes when you return, they seem to remember you. The air feels heavier. The silence waits. And in that silence, things move. Things you can't explain. Tonight, one man went back to a place he swore he'd never camp again. This is novice wild camper. Months ago, he left these woods shaken, uneasy, vowing never to return. Something here unsettled him in a way no other campsite had. But curiosity, and maybe unfinished business, pulled him back. Only this time he wasn't empty-handed. Cameras, night vision, thermal imaging, tools to see what the naked eye might miss. What follows is a long night of shadows, strange sounds, and markings on trees that seem to appear and vanish, as if the forest itself is alive. Stay with us to the end, because the deeper you go into this night, the more unsettling it becomes. He parks in the same spot as before, the same place that made him uneasy the first time. Already, things feel off. A lone dog walker appears, walks only a short distance, then turns back. Strange, almost like he was watching, or waiting.
Because he's walked probably 100 yards with his dog, and then gone back again. Which is a bit weird. Why would you walk such a short distance? Unless it was because he clocked my car, remembered it, turned around to get his ghillie suit on and his night vision goggles. Who knows? Right, I'm gonna grab my gear, head up into the woods. See you in a minute.
With gear strapped to his back, he climbs into the woods. The air is quiet, too quiet. Viewers who studied his first video said they saw shapes in the background, strange figures between the trees. So this time he pans his camera slowly, letting us see what he sees. Nothing obvious, but the stillness feels wrong.
So I'll give you a quick, a slow pan round. See if you pick anything up. Well, I'm pretty sure this is the spot. I think. Positive. It was near a bit of a drop-off, which there is behind me. Down there.
He sets up camp. Hammock, stove, trail cams. The thermal camera hums to life, revealing heat where the eye sees only black. First, small things. Mice darting, branches shifting. But then, flashes of heat appear, figures that seem to vanish as soon as the camera focuses, like the forest is hiding something.
Okay, it froze there for some reason. Obviously it picked something up. When I zoomed in, it just shut down. There's a little creature. Oh, no, there he is.
And then it happens. On the bark of a nearby tree, 2 fresh handprints, clear, distinct. They weren't there seconds before. He knows because his camera just passed over that very spot. The marks glow against the wood, stark against the cold night. His breath quickens. Fear rises. He whispers, "Those weren't there."
Just put my torch on. That wasn't there 2 seconds ago. I swear that wasn't there. There's 2. I keep seeing.
Moments later, movement again. Something behind the tree, a shape, watching. but each time he lifts his torch it disappears. Only the thermal camera shows traces, flickers, like something is there, and not there. The night stretches on. Metallic banging echoes in the distance. Long howls roll across the woods. Too long for an owl, too strange for a dog. He listens, frozen, wondering what else lingers out there, just beyond sight.
But it's like, you can definitely... I don't know if you heard that, if that picked it up on the mic or not. That one sounded more like a wolf.
By morning he hasn't slept. The handprints are gone. The woods stand quiet again, but the memory of those marks and the feeling of being watched remain. So what do you think left those handprints on the tree? Trick of light? Or proof that something or someone was moving with him in the dark? Have you ever experienced anything like this in the woods? Share your thoughts and stories in the comments. And thank you for watching. Your support keeps these stories alive. If you haven't already, subscribe so you don't miss what comes next. The forest doesn't always let you walk in without consequence. Some places feel alive, ancient, watching. And when you camp there, you're not just a visitor, you're part of something else, something hidden. This is Paranormal Discovery. Tonight, the team pushes deep into a stretch of endangered woods, a place they've never entered from this side before. Already, the ground itself feels unnatural. Rock-hard earth makes it nearly impossible to pitch a tent. After moving through 7 different spots, they finally set up camp, though unease lingers with every step.
Here in Nova Scotia, we have a bunch of provincial wildlands which are endangered, so they're protected. They're protected under a law. They're just kind of left here endangered and in very, very horrible condition. I mean, these trees really could have been like this for like 100+ years.
As the sun dips low, nerves rise. The team admits it openly. There's a sense of being far, too far, into a place that feels prehistoric. They wonder aloud, what if creatures still exist out here that humanity has never truly known? Humanoids, spirits, beings older than our history. The deeper they go, the stranger it gets. Massive tree roots ripped from the earth, not by storms, but by something else. Piles of sticks arranged unnaturally, as if placed with intent. And then, something tangible. Strands of hair clinging to brush. Long, shaggy, too coarse to belong to deer or coyote.
Don't touch it. Oh, that's hair.
Yeah, that's hair. That's not moss. That's straight up hair. From what though? Like it's all around this kind of like mini bush right here.
That is strange.
I'm not joking, guys. What is that?
The discovery chills them. If this isn't animal, what left it? The forest grows heavier. One of them feels his chest tighten the moment they cross deeper in. The air presses down, thick, as if entering sacred ground. Chelsea, on her first time here, grows restless, nervous, as if the place itself is pulling at her. And then, hidden in the brush, they find it, a geocache box, stashed in the most unlikely spot. Inside, a logbook dating back years. Coins, tokens, names, and then a chilling entry. November 15th, 2023. Bigfoot was seen here, written by another hand long before tonight.
I mean, I think it is 2023 because the one above it's 2023. So it would make sense, 2023. Bigfoot was seen here, and then it says something underneath it, but I can't read it.
I'm gonna take a photo on my phone just so I can see that.
The team can hardly believe it, but the forest isn't done with them. As night closes in, the woods shift. The smell of rot rolls in suddenly, thick and unmistakable. Branches marked in deliberate X shapes lean against one another, as if warning them. Their unease sharpens into fear. Night vision flicks on. The woods, now black and white, reveal movement. a shadow crossing where the tent was nearly pitched earlier. Snaps echo from behind trees. The sensation of being surrounded grows undeniable.
That's where I was originally going to set up the tent.
Snap, I heard like a little noise after.
Really?
I go, whoa.
Someone back there?
Whispers come through. Not just sounds of the forest, but voices, answers to questions. The land speaks of rituals, of betrayal, of spirits tied to this ground. The investigators realize they may have interrupted something sacred, an ancient ceremony still carried out by souls bound to this forest. But there's more than spirits here. Something heavy moves just beyond the light. A whoop carries through the trees. Then another. Rocks snap, branches crack. Every instinct screams ambush. The investigators call out, asking if it's a Sasquatch, a tall man of the woods, a Gigantopithecus. The response is chilling. References to danger, to power, to something watching them in the dark. Their gear begins to drain unnaturally fast, batteries dropping in seconds. They took the power, one whispers. The forest closes in. They can't see it, but they can feel it, circling, pacing, testing. At the tent, movement pushes against the fabric. Something tall, something heavy. Then, in the distance, a whoop answers back.
So my take on the whole, like, Sasquatch thing, if we want to hop back into that, I know you said it's not the tall man of the woods. Currently, but we're dealing with interdimensional beings. That's including the tall man of the woods, you know? So I am a full believer that none of this.
By the end of the night, the team can only admit what they feel. This isn't just wilderness, it's a crossing ground. Spirits and Sasquatch overlapping, interdimensional and ancient. And tonight they weren't just campers, they were trespassers. So what really pressed against their tent? What whispered warnings in the dark? And what stalked them from the tree line? Spirit, creature, or something far older? Because once you walk into these woods, you may never leave unchanged. The forest holds its silence like a secret. At night, every shadow feels closer. Every step seems to echo. And in Dogman Forest, that silence doesn't stay empty for long. This is Exploring with Fighters. Tonight, the team camps deep in the woods, searching not for stories, but for proof. Cameras, sensors, old tools given new life, built to catch what the eye alone can't see. It doesn't take long. The SLS camera begins to flicker with shapes. At first, only trees. Then, suddenly, a figure, tall, skeletal, outlined in light. It moves behind one of the team. No one is there. Yet the camera shows arms stretching, reaching. For seconds it lingers, then vanishes. When they turn back to the same spot, the screen flashes again. Another form, another movement. The forest isn't still. Something is running between the trees.
Something come running up behind you from that tree. I'm not even joking.
Right downwards.
Come round here.
What?
Come round here now and let's see if it's there now. I'm not even joking you.
Seriously?
Yeah, I swear to you, there's something behind the tree.
Behind that tree there and it come running up behind you.
Oh my
I'm not even joking. That one.
Kinky ghost.
That one there, that tree there.
Let's get a bit closer to it.
The air feels heavier. They call out, asking for a sign, asking for a name. The spirit box answers. Static bursts into words. At first, murder. A pause, then a voice, sharp and clear. Stephen. Seconds later, another. Jeff. Names spoken into the dark, as if belonging to the unseen figures just moments ago. The team listens, unsettled. Then another phrase breaks through. Forever 15. A life cut short, or a warning?
Stephen.
Stephen.
Stephen. Is Stephen your name? If you can't just say, yes it is, that'd be great, and then we can just address you by Stephen.
God, Jeff.
What?
Jeff.
Jeff as well.
The forest offers no explanation, only silence. They move back toward camp where the fire still burns. Another device is waiting. The music box. Simple, fragile. It plays only when something passes near. At first, quiet. Then the melody begins. Soft, uneasy. Notes drifting through the trees. It stops, then plays again and again. The sound doesn't belong here. Each time it triggers, the team feels the same thought. Something is close. Something is circling.
Back step in front. And it will go off. So now, yeah.
Is that supposed to happen like
No.
No.
They speak the names again. Stephen, Jeff, Kathy. Each word hangs in the air, almost swallowed by the night. The box answers with its song. By the time dawn breaks, the woods are still again. No figures, no voices, no music. Only the memory of what they caught. A shape behind the trees, words carried through static, and a song that should never have played. So what do you think?
Oh, I'm
Something
shaking
physical.
again.
Something has to be there for that to go off. It doesn't just go off.
Oh,
Full spectrum
fuck
isn't
me.
picking anything up. Thank you so much. We really appreciate it.
Was it the forest playing tricks with light and sound? Or did Dogman Forest reveal a darker truth? Spirits bound to the trees, still waiting to be heard. If you've ever felt watched in the woods, or heard something you couldn't explain, share your story in the comments. And if you're new here, consider subscribing. You won't want to miss where these nights take us next. Have you ever wondered what it would feel like if the forest itself turned hostile? If something stepped from the shadows not with curiosity, but with fury? In the dark mountains of Utah, one man found himself face to face with that answer. His encounter began quietly, with nothing but the hum of the night. But it ended with blood, terror, and the chilling presence of something that should not exist. The story comes from the Uinta Mountains, a stretch of rugged wilderness often called Utah's Bigfoot epicenter. Dozens of sightings cluster here, some of the most aggressive in the state. And on this night, one witness named Dario, camping with a friend near the Provo River, would add his own chapter to that dark legend. Dario wasn't the adventurous type. Born in Mexico, living in Salt Lake City by the mid-90s, he often admitted he was cautious, fearful even, when it came to the woods. His friend Robert, braver or perhaps more reckless, insisted on tent camping. Dario chose a small cabin instead, a decision that may have saved his life.
Out of the Uinta Mountains in Utah, this area seems to be an epicenter of the largest concentrations of Sasquatch sightings in the entire state of Utah. We have done dozens of Bigfoot expeditions into that area because of that over the years, and so this brutal Sasquatch encounter with a couple of guys camping near the Provo River is of interest to our team.
The night was silent when Dario woke to pounding at his cabin door. On the other side, Robert was screaming, blood on his face, his nose shattered. He stumbled inside, trembling, gasping, repeating the same words. "A demon! Something hit me!" Confused, Dario tried to understand, until he looked toward the window, and froze. There, just below the cabin lamp, stood a figure, a giant man-ape form, its face long, covered in coarse hair, its dark eyes locked onto his. For a moment, time stopped. He described it as if everything in the world, the beating of his heart, the breath in his chest, just ceased. Then came the smile, slow, twisted, a grin that revealed rows of square, human-like teeth, except for two tusk-like points at the back. The creature leaned closer, hand rising to the window.
Then he pointed to the window, fell to the ground, and crawled under the bed. I looked to the window and saw something that made me freeze. I don't know what feeling it felt. It felt like time stopped. My heart stopped. Everything stopped. The shock was that big. In the window Right below the lamp of the porch there was a gigantic ape man. It was a hairy, long-faced caveman with dark eyes like a gorilla, but had a human nose and chimp-like skin.
And with shocking strength, it tried to slide it open. Dario's instinct took over. He grabbed his .38 revolver. As the arm pushed through, he fired twice. The cabin shook with the creature's scream. A scream so powerful it dropped him to his knees. And then, just like that, it was gone. The smell lingered. Rot, decay. The stench of death clung to the cabin air until it made him sick. His friend had fainted beneath the bed, too terrified to move. They locked the doors, waited for dawn, and finally called the police. But Dario never told the full truth. He claimed it was an animal attack.
I fired 2 times and he screamed. That scream was so loud it made me crumble to my knees. That thing vanished in a blink of an eye, and a disgusting stench of rotten meat filled the room. I puked. I couldn't stand that situation. I then locked everything and pulled my friend from under the bed. He had fainted under there. I then called the police. They came in and they woke up Robert.
Afraid the mention of a man-ape would bring nothing but ridicule. Later, Robert filled in his part of the story. He said he had been pulled from his tent by the feet, dragged into the dirt before being struck in the face with enough force to shatter bone. Somehow, he broke free. Somehow, he made it to the cabin. Others had reported similar violence in these mountains. Decades earlier, 2 young miners fled after their camp was attacked. They abandoned everything, leaving even clothes behind. Tracks found later suggested multiple creatures.
Don't remember the month or day. I went to a campground in the Uinta, Wasatch. I wanted to do the camping I heard many Americans talk about. I went there with a friend named Robert from town. I confess that I'm a very cowardly person. I have no shame in saying that. It's the truth. When he said that he would sleep in a tent, I said no, and I slept in a small cabin there.
And one stove had been twisted almost in half, as if it were nothing. For Dario, the memory never left. The size of the figure at his window, the sound of that scream, the smell of rotting flesh. He says he'll never set foot in the woods again. And who could blame him? Because if what he saw that night was real, then sometimes the forest doesn't just watch. Sometimes it strikes. What do you think? Was this an angry Sasquatch defending its territory or something else altogether? The forest has many names. Some call it the Fallen Angel Forest. Others say it's cursed ground, a place where the trees bend into strange arches, where shadows carry voices, and where the night itself feels alive. Tonight, Jer Bear, host of Exploring with Bear, and his friend Dee step into these woods, searching for answers. What they find is something far more unsettling. It begins quietly, almost ordinary. The two walk along a worn path, talking about why they came. Dee had been here before and didn't want to return alone. Strange encounters had left her uneasy. Voices, shapes, movements in the trees. Jer Bear, curious but cautious, agrees to join. But even before they set up, the forest begins to react.
So the last time Dee was here, she caught some crazy things, and I'll put the screenshots up. And it's like a new cryptid, or I believe fallen angel, that made itself known. And what's really crazy is the one lizard picture, you guys have found something similar and sent that to me, and it looks really close. I'll have to show you that later. The faces look eerily similar.
At the 2-minute mark, the sound of whistling drifts through the trees. Not birds, not the wind, something deliberate, something following. Footsteps scrape gravel, heavy and slow, as if something large is pacing them from behind. Then comes the clicking. A sound Jer Bear has heard before, sharp, unnatural, almost insect-like, but louder, closer. Branches shift, and both explorers stop, flashlights sweeping. The sound darts around them, circling. Dee whispers, clickers. As the night deepens, the forest grows stranger. Structures appear, massive wooden weaves and bent arches, like someone or something deliberately built them. Driftwood stacked high, trees twisted into patterns too complex to be chance. They find one enormous shelter, large enough to crawl inside.
Slide.
Yeah, but look at the toes. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 5 toes. What was that? Did you hear that?
Yeah, but I thought it might have just been the woods.
It was crack. It was a crack.
Like a knock-knock?
No, like a branch crack.
Its walls pressed tight with branches woven by unseen hands. Gerbear films it with awe, whispering that no ordinary person would spend this much time crafting something so hidden, so intricate. But fascination turns to fear. From above, branches rain down. The explorers realize they aren't alone. Something, many somethings, are in the trees, watching. The air grows heavy. Gerbear says his stomach knots, and both admit they feel lightheaded, confused, as if the forest itself is pressing against them, playing with their minds. The sounds shift again, running, chittering, then kilents. For a moment only their breath fills the night. Dee calls out softly, trying to speak to whatever is near.
I don't like it. It looks like something just hunking down there and its back's just showing. This is bad. So bad. Look how open. Like, look at it. Something is using this.
Yeah, for sure.
The leaves, how bedded down it is. Soft, like carpet for them. Oh, man.
We're not here to harm you. We just want to look. Her voice trembles, but she holds steady. They keep moving. Eyeshine flickers ahead. White glowing dots peering from the dark, even without light to reflect. Something crouches low, watching, ducking behind fallen logs. Each step forward feels like walking deeper into a trap. And then, the knocks. Sharp, deliberate hits echo through the woods, answered by more in the distance. The forest grows colder, their breath visible in the beam of the flashlight. The timing is too perfect to be wind. The explorers glance at each other, unease thick between them. Every sense screams to leave, but they push on a little further, until the clicking returns.
Yeah.
There too, wait a minute. Look at the toes on that. That is so weird. It's not, like you got the little pinky toe, and then there would have been the other ones, and there's the other toe.
That's sort of apish, it reminds me
Right,
of.
but at the same time...
It's like the pinky toe's a thumb.
Like it slid a little. Right.
Whoa, man, I feel really weird all of a sudden.
See? Lightheaded? Dizzy?
Sort of, yeah.
Confused? Yeah.
Rapid, surrounding. Gerbear's voice cracks, weary and frightened. I don't want more clickers. They've had enough. Their lights flicker. Batteries drain at impossible speed. The forest feels alive, angry, pressing in on all sides. Finally, they turn back, walking quickly down the road that led them here, hearts racing, every step haunted by the sound of something moving just beyond sight. By the end, Gerbear admits the truth. If Dee hadn't been there, he might not have made it through. The woods left them shaken, sick, and unsettled. So what is Fallen Angel Forest? A place of cryptids, a stronghold of dogman or clickers, or something older, something that twists trees and minds alike. Whatever it is, these woods do not want visitors. Would you dare to walk there at night? The Kalahari does not sleep. Even at dusk, when the sky burns red and shadows stretch across the sand, the wilderness keeps watch. And for one man, the night was waiting. Clive Curtis, known to many as Safari Dad, had guided guests through these lands for over a decade. But this time, he was alone. 4 days of solo camping in a remote Big Five wilderness, miles from roads, fences, or comfort. Just canvas, firelight, and the wild.
Wait, we actually have to go back to the evening before.
That evening was calm. The air shimmered with heat as the sun sank low. Glossy ibis picked in the shallows. Wildebeest grazed the open plain. Black rhino, oryx. Even hyena circling close to camp. The bush seemed alive with movement, yet strangely at peace. He cooked by firelight, then retreated to his tent. The desert grew quiet, the stars pressed down, and the night deepened. At dawn, he unzipped the tent, half awake, reaching for coffee, eager to stretch into the morning. That's when he froze. Across the clearing, 3 young male lions and a lioness moved silently toward camp. Not wandering, not passing by, coming straight for him. Heart racing, Clive slipped from the tent, moving with steady calm toward the land cruiser. He knew their age. Young, curious, bold. Lions that would not simply pass, they would test, explore, and perhaps challenge. From the safety of the vehicle, he watched. The lions spread out, circling. Their paws pressed soft against the sand, tails twitching with mischief. One tugged at the camp chair, dragging it like a toy. Another nosed through gear, scattering scent. The camp became theirs in seconds. Each object pulled, sniffed, carried. And still, they lingered. No rush, no fear, just a wild, raw presence filling the clearing. Hours passed as he sat with them. The sun climbed, painting gold across their coats. They rested, rose, and moved again. And he followed, at a distance, engine low, spending the morning in their company, a privilege few will ever know, to share silence with lions, to witness their curiosity up close, unbroken by glass or bars. But the bush always has another secret waiting. Later, packing the tent, Clive rolled canvas tight, only to uncover what had lain beneath him through the cold desert nights. Coiled in the sand, sluggish from the chill, was a puff adder, thick, venomous, a breath away from where he had slept. For days, man and serpent had shared the same ground, unseen, unknowing.
Packing up that camp and folding up my tent, I rolled up my tent and only to discover I had been sleeping on a very nice big puff adder.
The lions had moved on. The snake would too. But the memory remained. The knowledge that in the wilderness, you are never truly alone. Something always watches. Something always waits. So what would you have done? Unzipping the tent to find lions walking toward you? Would you stand? Would you run? Or like Clive, would you sit quietly and let the wild show itself? The forest was quiet, too quiet. A stillness hung in the air, broken only by the crunch of boots against soft earth. Mark, better known as Colorado Bigfoot, had been chasing shadows for years, but on this day something felt different. He wasn't just out searching, he was being led. At the base of a ridge, he stopped. A tree shifted, not from the wind, but from something pressing against it. "He's right here," Mark whispered, breath caught in his throat.
This tree moves. He's right here. You can see where he was. This tree just got moved and pushed into this. Look, he made all the tracks and everything.
The tree moved again. Branches snapped. And then the prints, fresh, deep, too large for anything else. He followed the trail. Broken branches leaned like markers. The earth showed signs of heavy weight pressing down. Footprints with toes clear as day. Stones shifted beside them, scat fresh along the path. Something big had passed through. Something that knew he was close.
There's a footprint with toes right there, with a rock next to it. Oh yeah, he's coming in here. Oh, there's poop. Nice pile of poop. And they're going right through there all the time. It's all big, flat, see? No game, all big, flat stuff.
The deeper he walked, the stranger it became. A boulder loomed ahead, massive and out of place, standing alone like it had been set there by hands not human. Around it, the ground was trampled, beaten flat, as if something large circled it again and again. "They come out right here," he said softly, his camera catching the quartz face of the rock. "I've even seen faces looking straight from inside." It wasn't just rock, it was a doorway. Strange structures appeared next. Sticks crossed into perfect X's, placed against boulders and trees. A trident of branches leaned nearby, unmistakable, deliberate.
Anything too unusual here, I do have an X. The closest sticks to the boulder make an X. X marks the spot. This is it right here. Here, watch. Oh, there's a bone. One bone. Come on, it's one bone like always. Anybody home?
He had filmed hundreds of these before, but this spot, this one felt alive, as if eyes were on him from every angle. A noise stirred behind him, branches rustled low, his breath quickened. "They're right with me," he whispered, not daring to turn. Then came the sound again, closer this time, deliberate, like something pacing his every step. Mark scanned the slope. The hill rose steep, sharper than the camera showed, nearly vertical in places. At the top, silence. But instinct told him someone was watching. Maybe more than one. He whistled into the trees, a signal he used often. "I'm not sneaking, I'm not hiding," he said, but the forest gave no reply, only the steady tension of something just beyond sight. And then, the seat. Grass packed flat, earth pressed down smooth.
Oh, he was just sitting right there. This is all a seat. Look at the grass. It's completely packed into the... He was sitting right there. You know it was him because of that. Not to mention what else I just showed you. Right there is the seat. Oh, there's another one.
A perfect spot where something heavy had crouched. Another nearby, then another. They had been sitting there, waiting, watching, structures stacked higher the further he walked. Double X's. Leaners wedged between stones in ways nature could never manage. A wall built from sticks, the ground around it churned with footprints. "This is one of the most amazing finds I've ever had," he breathed. Yet the feeling only grew heavier, as if stepping too far might break an unspoken boundary. His camera blurred and stuttered, the focus pulling strangely toward the boulder, locking onto shadows and shapes it mistook for faces. "They're messing with the tech," he muttered. "I know it." Finally, he stopped. The forest pressed close, alive with signs but silent as stone. Around him, X's, tridents, footprints, seats, walls. Behind him, the steady weight of eyes. And then he asked the question we all think but never say out loud. If they can be this close, this clear, why haven't they stepped out? Maybe it isn't about proof. Maybe it's about trust. Or maybe some doors are never meant to open. The sun was slipping behind the rolling mountains. A soft hush settled over the forest. Jonathan and his friends were headed back to Humboldt County, the heart of Bigfoot country. Their goal was clear: camp at the Patterson-Gimlin film site, the most famous spot on Earth tied to the mystery of Bigfoot.
We're just waiting on a couple more people, straight down that way, about a mile and a half. We're going to get down to the Patterson-Gimlin film site.
They raced through mountain back roads, chasing daylight before night took over. At camp, they met Robert Lederman, a retired forest ranger and member of the Bluff Creek Project. Late into the night, Robert shared stories from his years on the job, tales of strange sounds and sightings that hung heavy in the air. Jonathan's night was rough. His sleeping pad deflated, but a reflective sheet kept the cold at bay. The forest around him was alive with quiet sounds, fox calls echoing in the dark, the faint rustle of leaves.
My sleeping pad deflated on me, but I had a couple sheets, mylar sheet and this other reflective sheet, so it wasn't too cold, wasn't too bad.
I heard a fox call last night several times. Just heard it again.
Morning brought crisp air and anticipation. Plans formed. The group split into two, one heading down to Scorpion Creek, the other to set up camp near the film site. Radios in hand, they prepared for what the woods might reveal. Jonathan reflected on the history beneath their feet. Back in 2012, game cameras were placed here, in the thick brush where mountain lions, bears, and foxes wandered freely. Nature was reclaiming what humans had once cleared. As he explored, Jonathan noticed subtle signs: the scent of spit on leaves, thorns scattered on the ground. Tiny details like these whispered that something larger had passed through. They found cold spots in the soil, places marked by what looked like claw marks pressed deep. Close by was the very spot where Patty, the figure from the famous Patterson-Gimlin film, stood before disappearing into the trees.
Close to here is actually where Patty stood up. And Roger and Bob came around here, started filming her right over here, and right the way that these gentlemen are walking is where she took off.
Jonathan traced the old road where Roger and Bob filmed. He imagined the chaos, the horse struggling, the camera being pulled free, the rush to capture a moment no one else believed.
This is a remnant of the old road where Roger Patterson and Bob Gillen rode in. Over here there's a root stump. Reached for his camera finally, got it out, his big bulky camera that's heavy. By the time he got it, as he's running, as he got it in his hands and ready to film, he's already about here, which is frame 1. And the time accounted for from there to here makes perfect sense for someone that's falling off a horse and struggling to handle their camera.
Camp was set without fires. The rules of the forest kept their flames low. Lights glowed softly, night vision cameras ready. The group hoped for movement in the shadows. Cougars were known to patrol the paths nearby. But something bigger, something unseen kept their attention. Stories surfaced. One friend described an odd sighting, a face appearing briefly on a hillside, disappearing as fast as it came.
On the turn there, Mom was playing around with the brights to mess with them, and then she turned on the bright, and then I saw it looked like Tate's face pop up at the end of the road, and I was like, why is he doing on the side of the hill? That's weird. And I told her that I was like, you see Tate over there? She turned off the brights again, and I was like, no, turn them back on, you can see him. And then she turned it back on, he wasn't there. And then we got around the corner and we realized he was in the middle of the cellar area.
The air had turned cold. A feeling of unease settled over the group. Later, Jonathan ventured alone, searching for footprints. He found an impression, deep and large, pressed into soft earth and powdery sand. Pebbles were pushed beneath it, showing weight and presence. He shared the image with experts. A geologist suggested it might be the mark of melting snow, shaped by nature.
So this here's same kind of sand.
That's the sand you're looking at. This is as Stephen Surfer likes to call it, the malleable sand.
Mm-hmm.
It's really soft and powdery and captures the detail. There's just enough, I guess, clay or whatever's involved. Holds this form. You can barely see my fingerprints in it, see? See your fingerprints? Just barely see them.
But for Jonathan, and many like him, the forest held more mysteries than explanations. They walked miles through ancient woods, chasing clues in moss, dirt, and shadow. No Bigfoot appeared that trip. But the feeling lingered that somewhere, just beyond sight, something was watching. The forest does not give up its secrets easily. What would you believe if you stood here, alone in the cold breath of the trees? Watch this part where Jonathan finds the footprint impression.
It was then that I found what looked like a Bigfoot footprint. If this was an impression, it would have to be by something very large and heavy.
Have you ever stood at the edge of silence, waiting for the forest to speak? That quiet, heavy pause, where every breath feels loud, and the world holds its secrets close. This is exactly where our witness found himself. Deep in the wilderness of northwestern Alberta, Canada, at a place known as 7 Creeks. A man who has been tracking Bigfoot since 1972 and documenting their presence since 2019, he moves with patience and respect, hoping to catch even the faintest sign. The day was cold and still. Fresh snow blanketed the ground, bending low the branches of ancient trees. No clear path marked his way. He was bushwhacking, stepping carefully into the thick of the forest, where only the wild rules. Each footstep sank deep, muffled by snow, as he searched for a trail that would lead him closer to the creatures he's spent decades trying to understand.
I'm hearing there's 3 now, possibly 4, but 3 for sure. Wood knocks way to the west. When I first got here, and you see me whistling my loon call, and I got that very loud, deep. It was quite a ways to the west, but now they're closer. So we need to go.
Suddenly, faint wood knocks echoed far to the west. 3 or maybe 4 taps, sharp and deliberate. He responded with a lone whistle, a long call meant to reach something unseen. The knocks came back louder, but from the other side of a main road cutting through the wilderness. The sounds were real, deliberate, a conversation in a language we can barely grasp. Switching cameras because his first was about to die, he continued deeper into the forest. Around him, the only sounds were the snap of twigs beneath his boots, the rustle of snow-laden branches, and the occasional woodpecker's rhythmic tapping. No human voices, no vehicle noise, just the vast, ancient quiet of the forest and something else, something larger.
Worth my time to move that gifting bowl downhill. See, and then I'd have this to walk on, and then I could head up, right? Straight in. I'm thinking of myself. I rarely do that where
He stopped near a gifting bowl, a place where offerings are left for the Sasquatch, a sign of respect, an invitation. Here the calm settled thick and heavy. Footsteps echoed nearby, slow, careful. Amid the silence, he heard something low and guttural, a grunt or a groan that sent a chill through the air. The forest seemed to hold its breath. He moved slowly, mindful not to disturb the delicate balance. Thoughts drifted through his mind. Could these creatures have clans, meetings, family ties? Do they gather here like we do, for reasons unknown? They must have babies, he thought. They grow old, just like us. And in that, a strange kinship.
the air is very, very, very silent. It's very still. Keep your eyes and your ears open. I know all you might hear is my footfalls, but can't be helped right now.
As the sun sank low, shadows stretched long between the trees. More wood knocks came, almost like a message. We hear you. We know you are here. Footsteps padded softly, always just beyond sight. The forest was alive, alive with sounds familiar yet strange. The temperature stayed steady, warmer than expected for late winter, a subtle hint that the seasons were turning. He packed up his gear, eyes lingering on the trees that held their secrets tight. There was no fear here, only respect and awe for what hides in the stillness. What do you think moves in those shadows? What stories are told in wood knocks and distant grunts? The forest waits, holding its mysteries close. And so do we. Watch the quiet moment here, listen closely to the knocks just behind the camera.
Even if the rest of them are busy, one or two will let me know, right? That they know I'm here, they hear me. It's almost like they're saying, I hear you, we're here. And I'm holding my breath. Give me a second.
Can you feel the presence? If you were standing here alone in the woods, hearing those footsteps just beyond your sight, what would you do? Our next clip documents a solo hike in the wilderness. The hiker uses various camera filters to capture the scenery and records their thoughts and observations along the way, including animal scat and the challenges of filming with trekking poles. While walking, the hiker smells animal, and a moment later hears a distinct cracking sound in the woods. The sound is sharp and could be interpreted as a twig breaking under a heavy weight, which immediately puts the hiker on alert. The hiker has an unsettling experience while walking through a clearing. They see a pure shadow running through the bushes. They initially rationalize the sighting as possibly a black bear or a homeless person, but the way the figure moved, trying to be sneaky, suggests something more unusual. The sighting leaves them feeling uneasy and questioning whether they captured anything on video.
It was almost like it was a pure shadow that I was watching. It could have been a black bear. This is a wild place, but it was trying to be stealthy walking through the woods.
The hiker sees a shadowy figure running through the bushes, which they describe as a pure shadow that was trying to be stealthy. The sighting occurs in a wild, remote area, and the hiker immediately begins to question what they saw, even speculating that it could be a black bear. Later in the hike, the narrator is enjoying the peaceful surroundings next to a running stream. They mention that any time they are next to running water, they hear voices. While it's a recurring experience for them, it's a chilling detail that adds to the mysterious atmosphere of the hike. The video concludes with the hiker enjoying a cup of instant coffee and reflecting on the solitude of the wilderness.
It's like I hear people talking.
Oh, voices again. Got a table, but I'm not gonna set that up.
The hiker mentions that when they are next to running water, they hear voices, a phenomenon that happens to them often. This detail adds a layer of mystery and the possibility of a paranormal or unsettling presence to the whole environment. The old cabin looked really inviting after driving for a long time down a rough, empty road. Its single light shone brightly like a signal in the wide and harsh wilderness. The group of friends, who were out to investigate strange happenings, carefully walked towards the dark cabin. There was a heavy feeling of worry in the air, and everything was really quiet, making it even more eerie. Inside, they found the cabin to be empty. The biologist who had invited them was missing, but his work was all over a table: maps of the area, blurry pictures, and mysterious notes about local stories and legends. They felt a growing sense of unease as they recognized they were following his path into a mystery he had tried to face on his own.
Did you guys open that?
What?
What? The door's open.
Oh.
What?
What the heck?
Are you sure? We didn't touch that, did we?
I didn't mean...
Who went in this room? Did somebody... I went in there, but I didn't go out that way. I didn't even notice there was a door there.
Wait.
Until now.
The camera slowly scans across the empty living room of the cabin. It focuses on the open door that goes to a back room, a door no one remembers opening. The shot stays for a moment on the dark room behind, then quickly switches to a wide view outside the cabin, where a small, shadowy figure seems to move between the trees near the light. The group was studying the maps when a loud noise broke the silence. It was a deep, primal roar coming from the woods, a sound they had never heard before. It wasn't a bear or a wolf. It was a scary, unnatural scream that felt like it shook the whole cabin. The friends started to argue nervously. Some were really scared while others didn't believe it. But the sound felt too real and too frightening to dismiss. It was like a clear warning from the forest, a challenge to their being there. The idea of being watched felt more like a certainty than just a thought.
What's that? That was like really...
No signs of base camp anywhere. We'll be waiting until sunset until we pack things up. Come here soon.
The camera shows a close-up of a team member's face, his expression a mix of confusion and alarm as a strange, fragmented voice crackles over his walkie-talkie. The sound is disjointed and difficult to understand, but the camera captures his growing unease as he realizes the voice isn't coming from his team. The radio's mysterious message added a new layer of dread to their journey. They decided to return to the relative safety of their cabin, but the forest seemed to have other plans. The feeling of being watched was constant, and the occasional rustle in the trees sent their hearts pounding. They knew they were being followed. After what felt like an eternity, they stumbled upon a shocking sight: a destroyed base camp, its wreckage scattered across the forest floor. A ripped tent, overturned gear, and a prominent dark stain on the ground spoke of a violent confrontation. This wasn't a game. The creature was real, and it was deadly.
Wait. Oh no. What is that? Orchid? It says orchid. Orchid?
There's no way.
Why would it What? escape from... Wait, how are they here?
Wait. There's something about orchid in here. One sec.
Wait, what? What? There's some orchid. Orchid.
Listen. The camera pans across to the team as they discuss the torn tent and the disaster of a campsite that is left. It was splattered with blood, and a briefcase was found lying open on the ground, revealing its contents. A map and a strange sealed container. A sense of desperation and fear hangs over the scene, punctuated by the team's hushed, frantic movements. 12 years ago, what began as a sweet camping trip in Utah's scenic Provo Canyon turned into one of the most unsettling encounters ever caught on camera. The area, nestled between Squaw Peak and the Little Rock Canyon overlook, is known for its remote beauty. But it's also known for something else: strange sightings. And this one? It's unforgettable. The footage begins when the man holding the camera lifts it slowly, almost without realizing what he's about to see. That's when it happens.
Yeah, I can't see it.
Through the branches, in the distance, something dark is moving, barely visible at first. Black, broad, still. Hidden behind the thick forest growth. The couple freezes, confused, uncertain. The man whispers to his girlfriend, "Do you think it's a bear?" His voice is unsteady, trying to make sense of what they're seeing. But then, the figure moves. It stands up, and instantly, that uncertainty becomes pure fear.
Does he think it's a bear? You think there's a bear next to a deer?
This wasn't a bear. This thing was tall, massive even, clearly bipedal, with arms that swung long and heavy. Its motion was smooth, almost practiced, as it rose to full height among the trees. It didn't crawl, it stood. You can hear the woman gasp. And just like that, they run. No second guessing, no final look. They turn, leave everything behind, and sprint straight to the car. The clip ends as fast as it begins, but what it leaves behind are questions that linger to this day. What did they really see out there? Was it Bigfoot, a trick of the shadows, or something much more real? One thing's for sure: their fear was real, their panic unmistakable. So we'll ask you, if it were you in that forest, staring down something that big, that fast, and that close, could you handle that situation? Let us know what you think in the comments below. And stay with us, because sometimes it's not just nature watching you. Something else might be hiding in the trees. This footage comes from Lettuce Lake Park, Florida. It begins quietly. The camera is not steady, focused across the lake. At first, it seems like just another nature video. But then, something moves. Behind the trees, partly hidden by the brush, there's a figure, a large one. It's hard to see clearly at first. The trees and distance blur the shape. But then it shifts, and you can tell. This thing is big, covered in thick, dark fur. The way it moves, it almost looks like it's waiting, maybe trying to cross the water. The man behind the camera doesn't speak. He just keeps filming, locked in place. Zooming in reveals more. Long arms, a bulky frame, a towering height that looks well over 8 feet. Is it a person? A hoax? Some kind of animal? Or is it Bigfoot? We don't know, but even after stabilizing the video, the questions remain. Whatever it is, it's not running, it's not hiding. It's just there, moving slowly, confidently, like it's done this before. Some of the most compelling footage isn't caught with high-end cameras or professional setups. Sometimes, the strangest things are captured by accident. And that's exactly what happened here. From the shadows of Salt Fork State Park to the hidden nests high in remote ridges, this investigation has taken us deep into a world where the line between legend and reality blurs. We've examined the evidence, heard from those who've seen the impossible, and challenged the theories that try to explain it all away. In the end, whether you believe in Bigfoot or not, one thing is certain. These forests still hold secrets. And sometimes, those secrets watch us back. If you enjoyed this journey into the unknown, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Because this story is far from over.